So we're going over the TotalMatrix Meta Ads System, which is a proven meta ads framework for coaches and agencies. And basically going to walk you through exactly how this process works and why now after Facebook's Andromeda update, it is killing, getting an average of a 9.4 ROAS for coaches and agencies. So yeah, this is in particular, we're going to use one of my client examples. His name is Alistair Cunningham. And this system has generated him 36K in revenue and a 12.1 ROAS within just 3 weeks of us launching his new webinar offer. So he runs a weekly webinar. We spent 3K on it. He was getting customers for around 435K. He on average makes per customer anywhere between 3,997 and 6,997. So a medium ticket and a high ticket offer. And he's getting a ROAS of 12.1. And that's just within the first 3 weeks. So if you ever hear an agency saying they need months for the ads to optimize before they can start getting return, that's just them trying to keep you on a retainer. And it's because they haven't got skin in the game. So cool. Guys, so this is how the TotalMatrix Meta Ad System works. First stage is basically going to be your research stage, and that is where we go through your competitor audit. We go into your existing ad account review, if you actually have one already. We do an offer market fit, and this is really important. And then we do your customer persona ICPs. So your competitor audit, we go through, we have a look at the meta ads library. We see what Alistair's, for instance, competitors were. We have a look at we basically watch all of their ads, pick out what's working, how long they've been running it for. Basically, the longer they've been running it for, the more likely it is to be successful and profitable. And what copy they're using, writing down their hooks. And in particular, we're also looking at their offers. So are they offering some kind of free resource, some heavily discounted thing? Are they providing bonuses? Are they providing an ebook? That kind of thing. We want to know what our competitors are actually offering to the market so that we can differentiate ourselves and make our offer better. So you're not just looking for ads research here, you're actually looking for offer research. That takes me down to the ad account review. So we'll have a look at your historical data. If you're coming to me, that probably means that your ads aren't performing that well and you're not getting at least a 3x return on ad spend. However, there's often gold dust within people's ad accounts that they don't even realize or their agency didn't even basically identify. So yeah, we have some custom metrics with the hook rates and the hold rates. The hook rate basically is the percentage of people that watch your ads and are then convinced to continue watching for another 3 seconds. So you've hooked them in, higher the better. And then your hold rate is how many people then, after watching the hook, went on to watch either the full video or at least 15 seconds. So that's your hold rate. So high hook rate and high hold rate is obviously the perfect combo. Anything over 20% hook rate, you're onto pretty much a winner. Anything over sort of 30% hold rate, you're onto a winner. But obviously we try and improve these all the time. But this helps you quickly identify what was actually working in the existing ad account and what wasn't, so that you're not starting from a complete scratch and we can actually take some previous winners or potential winners and just improve them slightly. That then takes us to the offer market fit. Now, when Alistair launched his service and webinar to start with, where he wasn't making profit, this was his offer to the market. So earn passive income from property every month. It's not bad, but it's not that compelling. So then we improved it and we keep improving it, guys, don't worry. But this is just to show you how you can build an ultimate offer. Earn 3K a month in profit from property. So now you have a tangible amount so someone can actually relate to that and they'll be like, oh, that does seem doable actually, but also really nice. Who wouldn't else want 3K a month profit from property? Then we say earn 3K a month in profit from property. Try and say that too many times. Within 6 months. So that means that gets rid of that objection and that hesitation of someone thinking, yeah, you can get me 3K in property, but I'm gonna have to buy, 5 different HMOs or 5 different flats, and it's gonna take me ages to secure their deals. But actually there, we're saying it's within 6 months. So now it's getting even more tantalizing as an offer. And then finally, this is what we actually went to market with. Earn 3K a month in profit in 6 months from property or your money back. So that's how convincing that is, because we've gone from earn passive income from property every month. We don't know how much, we don't know how long it's gonna take, and we don't have any reassurance that it's actually gonna work. Whereas this tells you how much you're gonna get as a minimum within a time frame and it's being guaranteed, which is an ultimate offer, and that's going to do so much better than his competitors, which is why it's doing so well. That brings us now on to customer persona ICPs. So ICPs are ideal customer profiles, and that's basically where we're identifying who your avatar is, who your go-to market, basically, demographic is. And the way we do that with the TotalMatrix system is we use the TotalMatrix GPT. It's a GPT that I've built and developed over the last 18 months, and basically it's been fed with some of the best marketers and the best copywriters in the world, all of their books and content and YouTube content and transcripts and everything like that, looking at their case studies, their videos similar to this where they discuss what's working and what isn't working, and some tried and tested hooks. On top of that, I feed it everything in terms of like my client results, in terms of what's working within the ad account, what's not working, so that it's constantly learning, and I feed that information every fortnight to a month, so that when I can take a new client on and put them into here, and when we're trying to get new customer personas and do some research and write new copy, we're not starting from ground zero again, we're actually starting from we're implementing a proven framework within a proven GPT. So it's a really powerful system. But yeah, so with Alistair, we identified 5 main personas and we ranked them in order of market size and how likely they are to convert. So the top persona was the customer, the mid-career corporate professional. So that's 35 to 55 years old, after in a corporate job. Basically, what's the psychographics? They're frustrated with their 9 to 5 and their corporate job. They want to get out, they're stuck, and they want to escape it. So they're craving more control, financial freedom, a new career path. So you can see that the sort of messaging that's going to resonate with these people is transitional stuff, selling dreams essentially, and selling a transformation. Stuff that you can press upon their pain to make them actually take action is by emotionally triggering them through stuff like burnout, working in a dead-end job, never actually going to be financially free. So that's how you agitate it. A lot of them at this stage are largely problem aware. So they're aware that they have this problem of being stuck in their 9 to 5 job. However, they're not sure how to actually do anything about that. They've looked at stuff like property, they've looked at stuff like businesses, but they don't actually know what the solution is going to be for them. And more on that in a moment. Next we have is preparation. So this is angle forming, buyer awareness, and ICP callouts. So now we know our ICP, which is our mid-level corporate professional. We'll call this guy Dan. We can make 3 different angles of how you would talk to him. So an angle is how you talk to your avatar. So angle 1, we're selling him the dream, escape the 9 to 5. Angle 2, we're selling someone who might be a corporate professional, but is just too scared at any point to maybe potentially completely ditch their main job. They've got a family and kids. They want to have a reliable income. However, they want a secondary income that they can get, to really provide for their children. And so then that's the angle we go for them. So instead of selling them to escape the 9 to 5, we tell them they can make, just as much money by keeping their job, but also having a passive income from property. And then angle 3 is someone who might be more kids focused. So we can be, the idea of being able to get them on the property ladder with multiple properties that they can then hand down to their children. Then we look at our buyer awareness. So important this stage, guys. So buyer awareness is when someone sees your ad, they are either in one of these 5 buckets, and I'll go through them in a sec. Basically, we need to ensure that we're creating ads that touches upon all of these things, because no matter what product it is or problem they have, everyone is in one of these 5, and they will only resonate with an ad that speaks to one of these 5 things. So being problem aware, so that means someone's not even aware that they actually have a problem, such as wanting to escape the 9 to 5. So you need to trigger that emotional reaction out of them. So you might do this like this. You ever notice how every month looks exactly the same? You work hard, pay bills, maybe save a little, but nothing really changes. Now, the reason that's different to someone wanting to escape the 9 to 5 is because this is trying to pose that question. It's just like, actually, is this your life? Fairly mundane? You might have a problem if you've got a fairly mundane life. And now it makes them think about that. Basically, by the end of the ad, you then introduce the problem. So start of the ad, you're targeting their buyer awareness stage, and at the end, you're introducing them to the next one, problem aware stage. So most professionals try to save their way to freedom, but saving doesn't build wealth, it just delays stress. What if instead you could build a second income that compounds while you work your day job? So now we're trying to trigger the idea that someone, you know that you're stuck in a dead-end job, but there is a solution there. So, like I say, we address that, we recognize that they've got a problem, we call it out, we now offer them a solution, and now this next ad, this is now assuming that someone knows that property is a good solution for them. But now we need to basically tell them why our version of property education and property investing is the best version for them. So most people think property means buying expensive houses and becoming a landlord. But the truth is there's a faster, lower risk way to generate 3K a month profit, even if you don't own a single property. So now that's interesting. So now you've introduced what our investment is. So product aware. So now someone might have actually now know about Alistair's property education and the webinars that he runs and the courses he does afterwards, and the idea that you don't actually need to buy a property to be able to make money from property. So we introduced that. So this person's already aware of Alistair's services. So Simon joined our program whilst working full-time in finance. 6 months later, he'd replaced half his salary with property income without ever buying a house. This system works because we walk you through everything step by step, from finding deals to setting up management, and we back it with a money-back guarantee. Interesting, right? So now someone's fully understands your product, and now they're at the stage where they just need convincing to take action now. So that's when someone's most aware. They've seen plenty of content now explaining what Alistair's offer is. And so now we say, look, you've seen the results, you know what's possible. The only question is now, will you be stuck in the same job 6 months from now? Or will your property income be covering your salary? We're closing enrollment for this cohort soon. Please book your call today and we'll map out exactly how you could hit your first 3K month within the next 6 months. So since we're closing it soon, it's basically encouraging people to take action now. They know about it, but they just need to get pushed over the edge. ICP call out, so initial customer profile. So again, that's our mid-level corporate professional. And we're going for angle number 1, which is selling the dream outcome, which is to escape the 9 to 5. So problem aware, you've built a solid career, but you're starting to wonder, is this it? For UK professionals who want the 9 to 5 grind, who want out of the 9 to 5 grind, let me tell you why property is for you in just 30 seconds. So you see now how we're actually calling out who we're after, and we're applying the angle to our ICP with the buyer awareness stage implemented in. So you see how it's all coming together, and we'll get into this next. That's the next part of the TotalMatrix system. So yeah, solution aware. UK entrepreneurs and professionals, you know investing in property can change your life. I'll show you why my cash flow leasing model can help you escape the 9 to 5 with just 4K. And I won't bother with the others because I think you guys pretty much get the point here. You want to combine all the things we talked about together to talk to the right person with the right angle at the right time of their buyer journey and awareness journey. And the reason we want to be calling out people very specifically is that's how Meta actually does its targeting now. It looks at your copy, it looks what you say in your videos, and it goes and uses its AI to find people similar to that. But more on that in a bit. The AdMatrix. This is where the real juice is. This is how coaches and agencies are using this exact system to, like I say, average a 9.4 ROAS. So pay attention to this one. So yeah, we go through the matrix structure, ad type matching, hook, copywriting, and video scripting. I'll mainly be going over the matrix structure, the hook and copyright and video scripting. I'll just briefly go over. But yeah, so this is the ad matrix, the total ad matrix, and this is what it looks like here. So you've got your awareness stages here. And if you remember, we had our ICP, which is a mid-level corporate pro. And the angle 1 that we were going for was escape the 9 to 5. And the angle 2 that we're going to was replace, get a second income. So just to remind you guys. So yeah, this is the account structure that I would go for. Now, you don't have to do the exact type of ad here. This just gives you an example. There's actually lots of different types of ads that you can run, but some ads work better at different awareness stages. This is how I'd run your ad account. You're going to have 12 ads here. So one for each stage of the journey. That's angle 1, escape the 9 to 5. Angle 2, get second income. And we've got lots of different types. So all of these are different types of ads. Some will be video, some will be static. We'll go into that in a sec. And the reason we want creative diversity here is basically that's what the Meta Andromeda AI system needs. It needs creative variety, otherwise it punishes you. If you have 2 ads that are too similar, it's actually going to increase your CPMs and start showing less of those ads to people. It doesn't like these basic sort of tweaks anymore. Now you're probably going to say I'm a hypocrite because what's this over here? Now the reason this is over here, this is the old way people used to do ads, by the way. So they used to record one founder story video and record like 20 different hooks and then basically attach the hook onto the ad, make 20 different ads and launch all of those ads. That's the old way of doing things. But the reason it's still useful in part is because particularly with your top of funnel, which is these 2 stages here, they're the hardest ads to create. And your hooks are the most important thing within your ad. So at the start, we just want to test some new hook variations for these existing ads that we've already recorded the content for. And basically when we can decide out of these 2, comparing an A/B test, which one's doing better. So then we know what hook is better. And that hook will sort of give us the insights we need into creating new content for this top of funnel bit. So once these have done their testing phase, we actually remove them from the ad matrix and you go down essentially to 8 to 10 ads instead of 12. So your ads at the top, I would do videos. Videos are really good for capturing attention. Think TikTok sort of style, really engaging, introducing a problem, making that person aware that their problem has a solution. So gathering interest here. In the middle, you can do video, carousel, or static. It doesn't really matter. Whatever's easier for you to produce. I would actually try testing both. So you might want to do features and benefits. You might want to do as a video, a before and an after. You might want to do a static or a carousel where someone swipes before, then swipes after. And then statics. I'd always use statics for the bottom of your funnel. This is because someone at this stage is already aware of what your services are. They don't necessarily need to be resold on it. They just need to have their objections handled and they need to be reminded about your product. So that's when you're giving them a testimonial, why you're better than your competitors, a direct offer. So you're reminding them about the guarantee and the fact that it's going to run out soon and they need to book their call now. And a results montage, which is similar to testimonial, but basically like a reel or a carousel where we're showing lots of client results all in one ad. Times with hooks and copywriting. I've got a cheat sheet that includes all of this, so I can send you that to you guys. Just let me know if you want it. Basically, these are some of the strongest hook types and how we actually use them within Alistair's account, or we haven't used all of these, but we've used the majority of them and we're testing new ones as we introduce new hooks to the account. But yeah, one of the strongest, for instance, in my personal favorite is the want without even. So you pitch the dream outcome, remove the biggest objections and break the biggest limiting belief. So that in practice is, want to earn 3K a month profit in 6 months from property without the cost, risk or hassle of buying a house, even if you've been wrongly told that you need at least 30K for a deposit. So there you go, that's a good hook. A little tip on this as well is for each hook type, and hook types are here, so emotional driver, curiosity-led, myth-busting, that kind of thing. Make sure you're matching each hook type with the awareness level. So curiosity-based hooks, myth-busting hooks, emotional story, narrative hooks, they're really good for the top of funnel. Your middle of funnel is when you want your authority hooks, your proof hooks, your call-out hooks. And then right at the bottom of the funnel where you're trying to convert people, that's when you use your guarantee hooks, your call-out and proof hooks. And that's to drive urgency and actually take action. Copywriting, exactly the same thing. You've got various different types of bodies to go after your hook. So you want to basically write various versions. So you have all these different blocks and then you combine them together with some linking phrases and linking paragraphs to create a really nice body of your script. Also, if you were to do videoing, video script, you would record these in blocks so that you can stitch them together to make various ads. Again, tip one, bring it all together. So you've got all these multiple blocks, but then you can bring it all together to build a mini story. So if you imagine you have your hook at the top and then it goes into the body section, which every month looks the same, long hours, short weekends, and that feeling you're working hard but not actually moving forward. Most people think property investing means buying houses, but the real money comes from controlling property without owning it. 6 months from now, you could have your first property income covering all of your bills and without quitting your job. So these are individual lines and body blocks that you would have got, and now you're bringing them together to make it a cohesive, logical story with an emotional payoff. Tip two, same as the hooks, and match your message blocks, your body blocks, to the best stages of the buyer awareness funnel. So call to actions is the same as the hooks and the bodies. You want to match it to the buyer awareness, because you can't just use the same call to action for every single ad. And that's because people are at different stages. You can imagine how incongruent it would be and a shame it would be if you made an awesome top of funnel problem aware ad for someone to introduce the problem to about property and the fact that they can actually get invested in property without needing to buy a house. But then you end with a call to action saying, book a call now, when they've only just discovered you for the first time. If someone's at that and you've got cold traffic, you actually want to make a curiosity-based call to action. So at the end of that ad, instead of saying, book your spot now whilst you can, limited spaces available, you want to go, discover how this property system helps you escape the 9 to 5. Click the learn more button now. So someone actually now wants to learn the system, they can do so, and they click. Still goes to the same place if you want it to. For instance, with Alistair's, it goes to a landing page where we collect their information for a webinar where we actually do teach them how to do it completely for free, and then we try and upsell them on the back end. So it's not misguiding. Video script writing, same thing. We use the TotalMatrix GPT. When you're actually filming your videos, make sure you're filming your hooks, your bodies, and your call to actions separately. And that will allow you to make lots of variations of ads for when you find a winner. And you'll be able to see what works well and what doesn't, and you can stitch things in and out. Ensure, obviously, your video scripts are matching your buyer awareness, your ICP, and your angle that you've chosen. Very, very important. Now we get to the actual creating. So yeah, so I've just gone over this, realized I already had a section for it. But with your filming, with the Meta Andromeda update, you need creative diversity. So please do not film all of your videos in the same location, such as in the same office, or using the same UGC content creator, using the same video testimonial that you have from the same person. Don't always edit it in the same way. And potentially go outdoor works really well. Walking really works. Add some movement. Add ones with B-roll. You need creative diversity, guys. So just don't sit in your office and film all of them in one day. Make sure you've actually got like a variety of ads. And this accounts for statics as well. So static, you can have organic selfies, graphics, AI generated stuff, poster style, that kind of thing. So if you see for Alistair, this is one of his ads here, statics, that's working really, really well. Looks native on feed. You think, do I know this guy? Then you see a great offer and you see a great social proof here to back up his offer. And then you can see here, it's bottom of funnel again. It's trying to get someone to actually, book a spot for the webinar, and it includes him. However, you can see that the creative difference is completely different in terms of how they look. And so Andromeda really likes this because someone might respond better to this, someone might respond better to this. They're doing the same job, but now Meta can feed the right ad to the right person at the right time. Deployment, campaign structure, and naming conventions, or conventions, because I can't spell. So campaign structure. I really recommend for anyone who's spending less than 30K a month on ads to just have one campaign on a CBO. So you put all of your budget into that one campaign. You have one ad set, and then you have the TotalMatrix 12 ads in there. And basically the reason for that is we've consolidated all of our ads into one campaign with one ad structure that enables Meta to gather as much information with its Andromeda update as possible to feed its AI beast, essentially. You're giving it as much data, whereas if you split it out over 2 or 3 campaigns, it's not only going to compete against itself, but it's going to have less conversions and less volume, so it can't learn as quickly. Once we start getting over to 30K a month in spend, that's when we add a thing called a testing campaign, where we take 20%, 10 to 20% of the budget, and we put it on an ABO, which is an ad set budget campaign, which means we can force spend certain creatives to do creative tests. But at the start, I really don't recommend anyone doing more than just one campaign until they're spending about 30K a month on ad spend. Naming conventions, it is completely up to you, but here's a little tip. It's really easy to identify what ads are doing well and why if you use a naming convention like this. So you want to do like awareness stage dash format dash type dash unique identifier. So awareness stage, unaware, it's a video, it's the founder story, and it's when we recorded the founder story in Office. So we might do a new one, but oh, this video did really well. Let's change one variable here. So let's change either the type. So we might go from founder story to an educational story, or we might change the format. So we might make a static version of this, or we might change the environment. So we might actually record the same script, but outside. So this one is another example, would be most aware, static, direct offer, outdoor selfie, which basically describes this here, this ad that generates loads of conversions for Alistair at very good lead prices. Optimization, we do 7-day cycles, we double down on winners, we cut and replace losers, I'll explain what symbiotic spending is, and then we have the continuous loop. So 7-day cycles, when you launch your ads into the Total Ad Matrix, do not touch the ads or make decisions for 7 days. Exceptions apply. So exceptions apply would be something like if your ads spend all of your daily spend and you don't get any conversions within like a couple of days, then something's seriously wrong. You probably uploaded the ads incorrectly. Maybe you might need to actually go into your like campaign and see if you've got any audience limitations. Double winners. So that basically means whatever ads are producing really good results for us, we make more variations of that winning ad. So like I described earlier, how we had, let's say this is a winning ad, we now record the same script outdoors. So that's how you double a winner, as well as scaling, but you scale the whole campaign. There is nuance into understanding what a winning ad is. It's not always black and white, and we'll get into that when I talk about symbiotic spending. And this is why good media buyers basically make their bread and butter over someone just running their own ad account. They won't have the experience. However, a good general rule to base your judgment of is a winning ad is typically spending a lot, got a low cost per lead, a highish hook rate, and a highish hold rate. The best winning ads are getting like over 30%, maybe 35% hook rates, 30%, 35% hold rates. And that's what we're getting for Alistair at the moment, if you have a look here. So 38% hook rate, 40%. That means, guys, by the way, 38% of people that see the ad actually continue watching, and then 40% complete that ad or watch at least 15 seconds. So you can imagine how cheap and impactful that ad is. Cut and replace losers. So pause losing ads, never delete them. Never delete any of your stuff, guys, because you'll have learnings in there that you can learn from for later down the line. And make your replacement ad based on the learnings from your winners. So if we identify the ads that are outdoors tend to do well, or ads where we use a certain creator does well, or ads when we use props, or ads when we use a certain hook do well, then we provide that learning and we update the losing ads and we tweak them or replace them with a completely different new ad based on the learnings from the winning. You need to ensure, and this is so important for the TotalMatrix ad system to work, that when you cut a loser and you make a replacement, that the replacement ad is an actual replacement and not just a different ad. So if it's replacing a problem-aware ad for angle 1, which is the escape 9 to 5 for your ICP of mid-level corporate professional, you need to make sure that your replacement ad is also a problem-aware ad for the escaping the 9 to 5, okay, for that ICP. Because if you don't, it breaks the TotalMatrix ad system, essentially. Symbiotic spending. Do not fall for this trap. So, the trap is, essentially, Meta will spend more on your top of funnel videos, and those videos might have a cost per lead of, I don't know, £90, And you're like, whoa, that's loads. My statics are getting cost per leads for like £8. Well, those ads aren't designed to try and get you leads straight away. They're actually feeding people into your funnel to allow them to be converted by your statics. So if you turn them off and they're high spending, as long as they have good hook rates and hold rates and low CPMs, you are killing your ad system. You are killing the TotalMatrix ad system. Because now if you turn off those videos, Meta is now going to start pushing some of your bottom of funnel stuff to try and reach cold audiences. Now, a cold audience is not going to be intrigued by someone saying their webinar closes at midnight for registrations, because they don't even know what your webinar's about. So this is why we need to basically keep those ads on. But then that brings me on to when to actually turn the high spending ads off. So if you do have videos that have really high spend, but they have low hook rates, low hold rates, and they're high CPMs, that means it's doing its job in terms of Meta's understanding what you're trying to achieve with this ad, which is try and engage a colder audience and bring them down your funnel. However, the ad's just not very good. So you need to make a replacement for it. And that's when you can pause it. But make sure don't pause any of the ads until you put in a replacement, because again, it's going to break the system. So this is it in sort of practice, the TotalMatrix continuous optimization loop. So let's say we've got a UGC problemware ad from angle 1, escape the 9 to 5, that is just doing terribly. High CPM, low hook rates, that kind of thing. We identify why it's doing bad, and from our learnings from other winners, and it might be, okay, it's got really bad hook rates, so that's the hook we need to change. At that point, this ad comes in and replaces that ad, okay? You see how this new UGC ad does not replace anything else. It block for block, okay? One ad replacing the other, right? When this ad just gets turned off, not deleted, because we want to compare the new ad to the previous one to see if we actually improved. Same thing happens here. So further down the funnel, you've got angle 2, us versus them. You don't actually have to do a new UGC to replace a UGC. You just have to replace what it's trying to achieve within the funnel. This is your funnel here. Someone starts here, they end up going down here, they buy here. So this case study, new type of ad, will replace the us and them ad. So you can try out new ads like that. But in terms of where they are in the buyer awareness, it's still fulfilling the same role. Also, guys, so if you find that actually one of your ads is showing potential, like good hook rate, just a bad hold rate, and you think, actually, I think this ad has a lot of potential, we don't need a completely new one here, we just need to change the sort of body or change like the hook, you can totally do that as well. But just make sure you are replacing like for like. All right, that brings me to scaling. We've got vertical, horizontal, and then testing. So vertical, really, really simple. If we're hitting key KPIs like low cost per lead, good CAC, so acquisition cost, and good lead quality, like people actually showing up to the calls and they're actually qualified to be able to make a purchase, then we increase daily budget by 20% every 7 days. That's the easiest way to scale. It's the most reliable way to scale without actually breaking any system, let alone the TotalMatrix system. Eventually, when you scale vertically, you will eventually hit a point where you're getting diminishing returns. When you get to diminishing returns, you need to horizontally scale. So that means we need to start introducing new angles and new ICPs into the matrix. And that's when, because our ad spend's high enough, we can have way more than 8 to 12 ads. We can start running a whole new matrix within the same campaign still. So we can up it all the way to like 24 ads, for instance, to introduce a brand new ICP with 2 new angles. And we just essentially repeat the whole process. So we're horizontally scaling. We're making the campaign fatter, more ads. So instead of spending more, we're now making it fatter as well. And that might then allow us to spend even more because we're targeting a brand new audience within there. And then, like I say, when we get over to 30K, it's time to add an additional campaign to the ad account. This is a testing account where we test new ad variations and optimizations. Again, this is just going to be 10 to 20% of the ad budget to this campaign. So if your daily budget was let's say £2,000, you'd want to assign anywhere between £200 and £400 for this daily for this new ad campaign. And that's just give it enough test for your creatives. Any winners that you identify in this new testing campaign, you then promote them by duplicating them and putting them into your CBO, your main campaign, your TotalMatrix campaign. And you can use that to replace ones that are already in there. So yeah, this basically allows you to test stuff without breaking your TotalMatrix campaign and without having to replace ads necessarily. So you can have a brand new test for a UGC video without having to turn off your UGC video within your TotalMatrix. So it's a really good thing to do once you have enough budget to be able to do it. I just don't advise it for anyone spending less than £1,000 a day, which is 30K a month. That is basically the Meta Ads TotalMatrix system. What really, really makes this system so powerful and why Alistair has managed to get a 12.1 ROAS and 36K revenue from just 3K ad spend is basically how I help in terms of conversion rate optimization. So yeah, I used to be a web designer. I still sort of am. I've got a lot of experience with conversion rate optimization. So ultimately, the goal with Alistair was actually to make his website and the bottom of his funnel make the most out of this brilliant ad system we built him. And this is what his website looked before. So you can see a lot of distraction, lots of different buttons, reviews, learn more, call today, lots of ways so someone could get distracted. It's not the cleanest design, it's not the nicest, it's not that obvious what he's selling. So before, that was getting him a 7.26% conversion rate, which isn't terrible. I've seen far worse than that, guys. But yeah, lots of room for improvement. So I went in, applied his new offer that we built with the TotalMatrix ad system, and designed it for him as part of the service. And what that did was we got 149% increase in conversions. We took his sign-up rate from 7.26% to 18.14%. So what that materially means is from roughly the same amount of visitors, we got him 195 visitors, 195 registrants for his webinar each week rather than 73. So more than double, 2.5 times more. And that's how powerful CRO is. And you can see how much better this page looks. We're calling out exactly who we're after. We're giving our really good offer here that we constructed earlier. We're telling people a little bit more context about it, a nice video for them to watch, got some social proof, letting them know what they learn, more social proof, some FAQs, and when the actual webinar is about to start, and lots of call to action buttons. And that's it. And that, performance-wise, I think you'll agree, is what really adds the cherry on top to the TotalMatrix ad system. What we also do is we look at the back-end funnel. So a lot of you guys, if you're coaches and agencies, you're going to have a funnel, but you'll probably have something fairly basic in terms of your automated lead nurture. So what we did with Alistair is we audited all of his emails and SMSs and voicemails that were going out, and we made it coherent with the new offer, the new angle and the messaging, and made it coherent with the ads that people were seeing. So it closed the loop and doesn't feel like, oh, this doesn't make sense to me. I saw this that was said on this ad, I saw this that was said in this email, and then on the webinar you said something else. So we make sure it's all coherent. We used really good copywriting techniques. And again, we use the TotalMatrix GPT to help us write that. And we also manually edit, just add that human touch as well. One thing we haven't done with Alistair, but something that we can do, which I think works really well, is especially if you're a smaller coach or agency in terms of employee size, if you don't have an AI call setter, they're starting to get really good, and they only cost around £200 to £400 a month. And what it will do is it will be an AI bot that will call all of your leads that come in and call all of your cancelled bookings and people who didn't show up to your booked calls. And it does really sound like a human, guys, and you can even train it on your own voice. And basically, it knows everything about your business because you tell it everything. And it can answer any objections, handle objections for you, and qualify the lead, and then book that lead directly into your calendar if they're qualified and it makes sense for your offer. And that saves you so much time. It's a really good and smart use of AI automation. And you'll find that even if someone works out that it is an AI bot, which can happen, they really don't get put off by it, because actually all of their questions get answered in the perfect way and they end up being sold on it. So they don't mind that they're getting convinced by an AI setter. And then finally, beyond the ads, we have Hormozi's money models. So he released a whole book launch on this. If you're a coaching agency, you probably already know all about this. But if you don't, I'm happy to discuss it further on a call with yourself. But this is basically how we make more money in less time, more often. And like I say, my GPT and myself, I've read it all. And we're starting to implement things now for Alistair, where instead of having an offer where he was providing coaching services for $3,997, he's now offering an upsell at $6,997 that's managing to sell. He's got a downsell, he's got payment plans, he's got and a continuity offer. He's got so many different ways of squeezing that extra bit of money out of a lead, because once we're getting the leads in, even though we've got a lot of wiggle room in terms of profitability, we can make even more money in less time, so that we can keep investing all of that money back into the ads, so that we can get more people. And you can see how it continuously loops, and we feed the TotalMatrix ad system. We feed it with more ad spend so it learns even more, we optimize even faster, and we make more money on the back end using Hormozi's techniques to earn yourself more money. And what does that leave us? That leaves us with the result. And that's that coaches and agencies using my TotalMatrix Meta Ads System are averaging a 9.4 ROAS. And you can too. And this, what we've just been over here, is the case study on how I've generated 36K in revenue and a 12.1 ROAS for Alistair in just 3 weeks.